This video is going to look at determining the end behavior of a polynomial function. So if we know this chart, then we can do the end behavior because there are lots of polynomials that do not show up in our graphing calculator. So we cannot rely on a graphing calculator for the answer. And then we're going to see how to quickly find the y-intercept, again, without a graphing calculator. So let's look at some examples. Okay, so for this one, we can see clearly what the leading term is. And so my coefficient out the front is a negative number, and then times x to an even power. And so from our chart here, if your leading term is a negative number times x to an even power, your end behavior is going to be down, down. And if we want to find the y-intercept, we just evaluate f at 0. And so everywhere there's an x, you replace it with 0. And so these are just going to be 0. And so my y-intercept is the point 0, 18. Let's look at this one. So this is my leading term. Okay, it has the highest power of x. And we have a positive number times x to an odd power. So if my leading term is a positive number times x to an odd power, the end behavior is down, up. What is the y-intercept? Well, we evaluate f at 0, and this term, when x is 0, is going to go to 0. And when x is 0 here, I get 0. And so my y-intercept is going to be the origin. Okay. Now with these two examples, the leading term was really easy to see. What about with something like this? Well, we're going to have to get the leading term first. So we multiply anything out the front times the leading term in here to the power outside times the leading term in here to the power outside, which is understood to be a 1. So I don't have to multiply that whole thing through. I just want the leading term. Two to the third power is going to be 8, then x cubed. So if I get the numbers out the front, I'll have negative 1/4 times 8, and that's going to give me negative 2. Then I'm going to have x squared times x cubed times x to the first. And so that's going to give me negative 2 times x to the power of 2 plus 3 plus 1. So that's my leading term. And we can see that my leading term is a negative number times x to an even power. And so again, my end behavior is going to be down, down. If I want to find the y-intercept, I just evaluate f at 0. So that's going to be negative 1/4 times 0 squared. Then I've got this other stuff, but it doesn't matter what I have because I have a product here and zeros in there. So 2 times 0 minus 5, 0 plus 4. When I multiply all this together, 0 is part of my product, so I just get 0. So my y-intercept is going to be the origin. For this one, what's the end behavior? Well, we have to get the leading term. So my leading term here is going to be 2 times x cubed times x to the 4th, which is going to be 2 times x to the 7th. So I have a positive number times x to an odd power. And so my end behavior is going to be down up. And what is the y-intercept? Well, we evaluate p at 0. So I'm going to have 2 times 1 to the 3rd power, which is just the number 1, then times negative 3 to the 4th. But the negative sign is going to go away because the power is even. And that's going to give me 81. And then 2 times 81 is 162. So my y-intercept for this is going to be the point 0, 162. Okay. And so that's a short video on how to quickly get the end behavior and the y-intercept of a polynomial function.